My channel. Today what I'm doing is video 2 in my series of buying a horse. So my first video, make sure you check that out, is about how do you choose your horse you want to go look at, or how do you decide which horse you want to pick when you're looking for a horse. This is for video 2 on what do you do. You picked out a horse, now what do you do? So this is assuming that now you have picked out your horse, that you had your list of horses you were going to go look at, and if it's possible, depending on your location, you may have to do sight unseen. Again, I don't recommend that if you've never bought a horse before. Definitely like go see it, try it out, all that good stuff. So if you were going to buy sight unseen, definitely you would expect lots of video and kind of showing you every single thing that you would want, and then you have to arrange shipping. So some of that like is definitely a little bit more intense, but depending on the seller, like if they've sold lots of horses before, then that's usually not necessarily a bad thing, because you can see what horses they've sold and stuff like that. So just kind of depends, like do they have a presence enough that where you know, and like have you talked to them on the phone? Definitely talk to them on the phone though. Don't just go by email, because sometimes they will try to like just, it could be a scam, so be careful on that. Make sure it's a real person. Okay, so now you've picked out your horse. You've either went and seen it, or you've decided like by videos and stuff like that that you're going to purchase. So what do you do then? Okay, so what you're going to do is I want you to think about it overnight. So don't just immediately usually decide that you're going to go ahead and buy one. Think about it overnight, let you sleep on it, make sure like this is the horse you want, because remember, horses can live 30-35 years, so this could be a long investment for you. Not that you couldn't resell later, but you know, I typically don't. So let's say you've went to check out this horse, or you've decided to see videos online and you're like, okay, I'm going to go through with this, I'm going to buy this horse. Step 1, if you can, let you think about it overnight. Like, you know, just give yourself one more night to be like, am I sure? Then number 2, call and make an offer. Now, if you decide to make an offer in person, this does kind of change the thing, and if you absolutely love the horse, then just go ahead, you know, because again, you can get sometimes cheaper, so make sure you check out that video. But you know, call and make an offer, and again, don't be afraid to offer lower than what they have listed. Now if they have a $25,000 horse and you offer them $500, they probably will just hang up the phone on you. So just, you know, make an offer, but make a good offer. And then usually the person will come back with a counter offer. You can counter offer again, but usually kind of it's like a two or three kind of haggle thing, and then you kind of decide on a price. So you do need to decide beforehand what is your absolute max budget. So if the horse in the final offer they give you is out of the budget, you can tell them that, and then sometimes like they will bring it down a little bit if they're like in a dire need to sell the horse, or if they like really like you, or for example in my business, if it's a really good match, sometimes I will lower the price just to make sure that that horse goes with that owner, because I would like a more satisfied customer, because I would like them to, you know, if they really like their horse and they do well with their horse, then, you know, they'll tell their friends. So that's something to think about if you're selling multiple horses. Also, of course, I do a buyback, and so like if they decide not to purchase the horse, then I would want to at least get the chance to buy it back. Okay, number 3 is then you're going to arrange if you're wanting to do a pre-purchase exam. Some people like to do a pre-purchase exam. What those generally entail is like a well visit from your vet. Sometimes they will do lameness exams. That's kind of like your basic pre-purchase exam, just to see like, is the horse healthy? Is it ready for transport? You can add on the lameness exam. If you want more extensive, you would do what's called the flexion test. That would be a more extensive lameness exam. If you wanted to do x-rays, that would be more extensive. So, and again, typically this is at the buyer's cost. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, if you wanted to include that in the haggling price, that's something to keep in mind. How much do these cost? It can super vary depending on where you are and your vet. I would say at least $100, but it could go with x-rays, you know, up to $500. It just kind of depends on how extensive you want. I mean, if you're looking for a Grand Prix eventing horse, you probably want to go through some pre-purchase exam. If you're looking for like a regional showing horse that is under, say, a $5,000 limit, I necessarily wouldn't always do that, because every horse, and if you notice, pre-purchase exams, they will always show up something, because there's no horse who's absolutely perfect. So just keep in mind, there's no longer like a pass or a fail. It's just more like, is my horse going to like be good for this situation? And a lot of times if you look at off the tracks, thoroughbreds or something like that, which those are usually really great horses. I have one right now, and he is absolutely fine. He is sound, has no issues at all. But like a pre-purchase exam of an off the track may show up some sort of old injury, because I mean, if you race for 3 or 4 years, you're going to have probably injuries. But if it's healed properly, then it won't necessarily be an issue depending on what you're doing. Again, I would not say go jump 6 foot tall fences, but I'm never going to do that, me personally, either. So just something to keep in mind. Then also arrange for transport. After you've decided the pre-purchase exam, typically they will go ahead and do the pre-purchase exam with your vet of choice, or if you wanted to have their vet. Either way, I would definitely recommend getting your own vet. Then at that point, you would wait, and then they would call you once that's arrived, and then that way you could see the results. And then at that point, you can go ahead and schedule transportation. So if you're going to go pick up the horse, or if they're going to deliver the horse to you, or if a third-party shipper is involved. There is one fourth option that I have done that I don't necessarily recommend, but it can work, is where like the buyer drives the horse halfway, you guys meet up at a point, and then the seller comes halfway. The only problem is then you're exchanging horse from like another trailer. So if you're going to go for a very long time, let's say like a 10-12 hour trip, that would actually be perfect, because what you'd want to do is you'd want to unload the horse halfway at a place where they could stay at the stall overnight, rest, and then go the following way. If you're going to go say under 4 hours, you would want to just do one trip, because trying to get them onto the trailer and then put them on another trailer, which is what we did, because I think it was like a 5 hour trip. There was a little bit of a break in between, we like just to let him like relax and stuff. But yeah, so I went halfway and they went halfway, just because of how far they were. So that's something to keep in mind that you could do. But yeah, if you're gonna do that, typically I'd say try to stay overnight. That way you're not gonna try to just put him right back on the trailer, because then next time you put him on a trailer, he may be like, I'm not going 5 hours, you know? So that's something to keep in mind there. Some sellers will bring it to you, but that would usually cost a fee. So again, if you could go get the horse yourself, it would be a little bit cheaper. Okay, and then of course arrange a pickup time. So like what day, what time, like, and try to be on time. Like horse people have a notorious problem of not being on time. So don't be one of those, stay on time. Or if you're not going to be on time, just call or text. That's totally easy. Next thing, so once you've got all that arranged, you got the pre-purchase exam going, you've got a time maybe the next week that you're gonna go pick up the horse. Now you need to prepare your place. So prepare your place that you're gonna keep your horse. Now if you're gonna keep it in a boarding barn, make sure you have space in the boarding barn. Make sure you already have a designated stall if you're gonna put him in a stall, or a designated pasture, and know where he's gonna go. So that way when you arrive, you're not like, where do I put him? That way you know where he's at. Once you prepared your place, then like, you know, clean out the stall. You know, if you're gonna have a stall, make sure it's clean, freshly bedded and stuff like that. You can go ahead and have your hay put in there. And then you want to, if you can, clean and disinfect your tack, because then that way you're coming from whatever germs or something the other horse had that you had before, or let's say you bought new tack, you don't necessarily have to do that. But if you bought used tack, even clean and disinfect your tack that's gonna go on your new horse. And it's always a lot of fun that if you're getting a new horse, you could always get some new gear. So like you could decide what color you want for that horse and get that kind of halters and lead ropes and all that kind of stuff. You know, I of course love teal, and teal looks great on any kind of dark horse. So like if you wanted to go that, you could get like just a saddle pad, ear bonnet, boots, halter, lead rope, stable blanket, like all kinds of things in the color of your choice, and then it just makes it all fun. And you can even personalize it if you decided on a name. Okay, and finally, pick out your name. So now, like, let's say they already has a name, you don't necessarily always have to keep it, because a lot of times you have your show name, of course you want to keep that, and then you have your barn name. If it's not a registered horse and they have a show name, then you could technically change that too. Okay, but a barn name you can easily change. Remember, the horse may come to its name, so that would have to get used to doing that. So a lot of times if you just kind of switch it to boy or girl, or just like whistle or something, then they don't usually have that kind of issue. But that's something to think about if you're thinking about changing the name. And finally, when you get your horse, take a picture, like picture it, take a picture, take a video of you picking up the horse, your transport back to your house, and then when you first get it home. It is such a special memory, and you have the date of when you got your horse and brought it home, and that way this is such a big thing for you. Hopefully it's going to be a friend for life, and that way you can just start your journey in documentation. So super love that, and especially if it's your first horse. So those are my top tips to do once you have picked out your horse and you've decided that you're going to purchase. My next video, number 3, will be once you have brought your new horse home, what should you do? So that'll be my next video. So make sure you check that out next week. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you check out Feebings. They're my partnership. And if you go to feebings.com and put in the code MCS10, you'll get 10% off your order of horse care and leather hair products. Definitely check out Satin Sheen and Leather 4-Way Care. They're by far my favorite products. I have to use them like every day. So thank you so much for watching. God bless, be adventurous, and I'll see you next time. Bye.